Welcome to the City of Port Washington Common Council meeting for Wednesday, February 19th, 2025. Roll call, Alderperson Sigwart we'll put him on pause for now. Okay, might be late. All right, otherwise, all alderpersons are present. Please join with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. We have two items in the consent agenda. Is there anyone willing to make a motion to approve them?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or concerns on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Under mayor's business, I have a couple of things here, but one official piece is the appointment of members to the Plan Commission and Library Board. There are two commissioners or two library board members, Kristen Lefevre and Beth Ann Plautz, and then two planning commission members. I'll just back up. Christina Lefevre and Beth Ann are both very active at the library. One actually had one time had been a part-time employee and have high energy and engagement around supporting the library with the new positions that were available. And then under the Planning Commission, Tina Mock, whose husband Chad had served on the Planning Commission. She also is an engineer, so she was filling the gap after Chad's passing. So she's willing to take on that seat for the end of the term, potentially longer. And then Nate Herlatch is a Port Washington lifetime resident who is going to do a really nice job representing forestry and parks. He currently works for the city of Mequon in those departments, and he grew up in Port Washington. So those are the four. Is there any questions or concerns on them? Otherwise, I'd be looking for a motion to approve their appointments.
Move to approve. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or concerns on the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Just a couple of other little pieces. Also, a proclamation today at the police department. They celebrated Crossing Guard Recognition Week. I think that I know the council, anybody who has kids and drives their kids to school in Port Washington knows that we have incredibly friendly crossing guards now who are always waving. There used to be one, Chief, what was Smiley's name, who used to be up at, yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to throw He took over Jerry's spot, who had been there for a gajillion years when I was a kid, who used to also be our meter guy, right? Yeah. Well, I've always had a fondness for our crossing guards because as a kid living on Walter Street, going to St. Mary's, crossing the main street, and then having Jerry hit me in the head with a stop sign every day just made me feel loved. So we have a proclamation here recognizing the crossing guards for their invaluable role in creating safety for our students and our community. And I love the details in here. Whereas crossing guards serve with dedication that overcomes the rigors of split shifts, heavy traffic, and stand strong during times of sweltering heat, bitter cold, blowing snow, and heavy rainfall. And then I'm just going to add in here, as well as people on their phones while driving. I think they do a fantastic job. So we'll get a copy of this to you, Chief, to please share with the crossing guards for us. The other piece is I just want to thank Main Street for hosting me a couple weeks ago for the Main Street and Mayor's Breakfast. We had a really nice conversation of the state of the city, a good Q&A looking at where we are at, as well as the Rotary. And then I'm looking to post this probably early next week, a date where I'll do a state of the city address in the city to just kind of go through all of the amazing work that's been done this past year and address questions from the people who live in the city of Port Washington. Also, one other thing, March 7th, the week of March 7th in Port Washington is Employee Appreciation Week in the downtown. So if community members or employers get the opportunity to please have their employees get some time to spend downtown supporting our locally owned businesses, that would be fantastic. And then finally, last night, I was a guest of Governor Evers at the state budget announcement and going through a couple of pieces. There are some significant potential investments that would really help the city of Port Washington. One was with lead abatement, and another was with our levy. So he introduced the idea last night that if the city in 2026 were to hold our levy at its current rate, that the state would reimburse a 3% increase on that using the general fund dollars. So if the city were to go forward with our capable at just over 2%, we would not have access to that. So it's a pretty big incentive. Now, governors always throw out their budgets, and then the process begins. So he put his stake in the sand last night when there were some good things in there for the city of Port Washington, and politics will take over, and we'll see what comes out in the wash. All right, so that was kind of a fun thing for us. All right, with that, any questions for me under mayor's business? All right, we'll move into officer and staff reports. Melissa.
Thank you, Mayor. Two quick things. The long-awaited HR manager, we have hired her, and she started on Monday. So I'm excited, and she'll be meeting with staff next week, Monday. And we'll have our first personnel meeting on March 7th to introduce her to the committee and sort of let the committee know where we're going with the personnel items. And then something else exciting is We Energies. We received a We Energies Foundation grant of $10,000 for the restoration of the World War II Memorial at Coldock Park. Alderwoman Postel suggested that we reach out to them about this because it is out on Coldock Park and we do lease that. So we will be doing, or they will be doing privately funding. There's another $20,000 to complete the work, but they would like to be having the work done prior to Veterans Day in 2025. So I congratulate Rob and his staff and John Crane and thank everyone for their support for that. That's it.
That's excellent. And then just two other highlights that I found in the staff reports, because I do appreciate these and I do appreciate that we're putting them on Facebook now, is again, another opportunity to support the downtown March 1st with Flannel Fests, beer, and trivia walk. I'm sure there's an alder person or two that we'll see walking around down there. And the other one that I really also appreciated is I love the renewed energy and vibrance that's taking place at our community senior center. The report this month was great with just all the new activity and different pieces going on there. So please reinforce with Diana that we appreciate her leadership. Okay. With that, any other questions for Melissa or myself on the staff reports? Okay. Otherwise, the update on downtown plan commission charter and building inspector, is that now?
Yep.
All right. The floor is yours, Robert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let me fire up the PowerPoint machine.
You have a PowerPoint machine? Apparently Bob has traveled from the 18th century to...
The combustion-powered PowerPoint machine.
If a tube goes out on your PowerPoint machine,
Yes,
we'll get a new one from the back.
All right, I will start
Oh,
with,
and I'm sorry, Gary is here as well.
and our building inspector, Gary Peterson, will follow me. So I will start with the Plan Commission and just really briefly for everyone here, touch on some actions that we, the Plan Commission, took on this past year, both somewhat larger and somewhat smaller, but nevertheless interesting. So I just did a sampling, and so the subdivision growth in the city has continued with the Highland Point 2 subdivision, and we will be seeing Highland Point 3 tomorrow night at our Plan Commission. Prairie's Edge is continuing to build up, and we'll be seeing a lot of the activity finishing out the south side of Prairie's Edge, I would imagine, in this upcoming year with the condominiums approved by Plan Commission last year. I think there'll be 20 condominiums popping up on the south end of Prairie's Edge, and they will be bookending those smaller individual single-family rentals that kind of face that commons. We had the city's first recording studio. It's under construction now on South Park Street. And then I think what's, even a small project, but a kind of a big impact is just the new facade by Sir James Pub. And it being in the Franklin Street Historic District, it went to Plan Commission, and it was really, it was a love fest, just seeing that brick facade and the new doors and windows and really seeing a nice fresh face for Sir James. We approved a new space in Newport Shores with a Cavalier Wine Bar And as someone that's been there about thrice now, I think it's a good use for the city on that lakefront. We also had the old Sundance space reoccupied with the Lucky Devil Bar and Grill. We did on the zoning end of things. The Plan Commission did approve accessory dwelling unit standards. Now, it didn't hit the floor at council when it was paired with, the request was pair it with short-term rentals, but we did have really good standards that the Plan Commission went through, and at a minimum, I think we'll be taking these up again with the new zoning code rewrite, and we'll see where that goes. The Plan Commission also did downtown height adjustments. I think when it started, it was going to be essentially a placeholder for the zoning code rewrite, but as time kind of adjusted and the Grave team coming up with proposed downtown height recommendations, or at least a first stab at downtown heights for the new zoning code, probably coming up in the next month or two. We paused those, and then we'll see what we have with Grafe and what their urban design team has come up with, and didn't give us a really ample time to take that out to downtown stakeholders, Main Street, since that's downtown heights. It's a Rubik's Cube. There's no one right answer, but I think Grafe is going to come up with some nice details. And then moving along with the charter. So we approved the charter, I think it was in this past summer, with 7 goals. And real quick, the rewrite was try to keep the zoning code rewrite on schedule, and I put within 60 days as on schedule, and we're meeting that goal. I add this simply because I know of other communities and zoning code rewrites. They're large projects. They're labor intensive, and it's not unusual for a zoning code rewrite that starts off at 1 year, goes into a year and a half. So I just want to caution everyone. But we're still within that ending in 2025 goal. So knock on wood, and we'll keep our fingers crossed. Preparation of an RFP for the current police and fire block, and now that the facility is moving along, the new facility. I know the mayor is anxious to put this on the front burner. We'll be doing that, and I'll be working with Melissa on getting that out for both the mayor and council, and we'll also be discussing this at Plan Commission tomorrow. South Side redevelopment analysis. I know the mayor wanted staff to take a look at kind of the cost that we're looking at compared to a cost benefits analysis. We've put together with DPW some really good rough estimates on sewer costs. We'll need to update those for 25, but we should be having that out this spring, this year. North Side redevelopment, that was kind of the partner to the South Side cost and benefit analysis, but obviously with this data center proposal, that kind of threw the calculus off. And so we're putting that, at least I would say we should put that on hold until this rather large proposal, see where this goes if it goes forward. Obviously, that'll change that, and if not, that'll change that as well. So goal 5, this is more kind of a handy little thing to have, was just going through the city and mapping out, identifying redevelopment sites, be them vacant lots, infill sites, and just so we have that on inventory. And a part of that is the mapping. The mapping kind of takes a little bit. We're a little shorthanded on staffing for mapping, but I would imagine we'll have something this coming year. This is something ongoing. I've been doing it, but tracking Plan Commission recommendations and reporting out. And related to that, the Plan Commission asks me to give out a biannual report out, and that's what I'll be doing with them for 25. And then lastly, just to look ahead, obviously the zoning code is going to be, is the big piece here. And I would imagine if Grafe is, according to Grafe, we'll start getting substantial chapters coming by the end of this month and going forward for the next 4 months. We had a brief discussion about this at Plan Commission, and I think the mayor had a really good idea. Rather than me just plopping yellow page or white page phone book size zoning, draft zoning codes on everyone's credenza or desk, just kind of having like a T-bar of existing and plan changes. And I think that's really digestible and easy to understand both for Plan Commission, yourselves, and the public. So once these substantial chapters, as I call them, come floating up, and I'll take them out and running, we'll be using them at Plan Commission meetings. I do think we have a joint Plan Commission and council scheduled with our consultants. Then I'll be just doing my own legwork and getting out to whomever. We'll probably start seeing, and we'll see this tomorrow, more annexations and comprehensive plan amendments for that as subdivisions aren't slowing down. And so we'll see annexation and amending the comp plan. So the zoning changes that go with that are current with our comprehensive plan. Again, we all know and see where this data center proposals, as it works its way through the city looking at this and what and who is an end user or a proposed end user. And then we recently had the third-class city designation, and what that means, at least for me in the early stages, is that we'll start seeing more extraterritorial plat reviews by Plan Commission. And then lastly, this is when this has been a long project of mine. We're trying to get it is just to update and maintain the city's official map and the zoning map. And then lastly, and this has been in Melissa's emphasis in establishing a cross-department downtown plan implementation strategy. Since the downtown plan is not just planning, it's a multi-department strategy working on projects that we think can work. And so on that note, let me give you a quick update on where we are with downtown plan implementation. So this is a spreadsheet that I did a little shortly after the approval of the plan. And I broke this down into projects or recommendations that are in that downtown plan that I thought could be doable in the next.
Bob, would you mind zooming in a little bit?
I can. How about that? More?
One more.
How about one more?
That's pretty good.
Okay, we'll go with that. So here's the timeline that I thought projects that could be underway or doable between now and the next 5 years. There is a piece of the plan that through our public process, kind of those larger aspirational, inspirational projects, I did not include them in this 5-year to-do window, just because these are larger, more aspirational projects. And so I thought, let's focus on the ones that we can do. And so going through those three categories, it's kind of like in design guidelines or design standards, circulation, parking, and the right-of-way spaces in our city. And then lastly, the plan had various development sites with ideas and uses planned for that. So real quick, I mentioned downtown zoning and incorporating downtown plan guidelines. That's underway with our consulting team of Grafe. I mentioned downtown building heights. That's kind of wrapped in as far as their charge, as far as downtown zoning and downtown design standards. And then identified strategies for historic stock. Again, I think they have some ideas about historic preservation. We don't have a preservation commission. We may not have an appetite for one, but it's just an idea that will probably be raised as this zoning code drafts start coming out and getting it through the public consumption, plan commission consumption, and the alders input. Moving along, we had interstate parking ideas about, balancing. At the time, the impetus was balancing, development downtown, activity downtown, and the marina. There was a managed parking recommendation, and we did make a decision, so we're not going with that, and we moved on. Main Street, as part of improving circulation around downtown, we did restripe the county block, so it is two ways. there was an idea of taking Main Street and making kind of that ceremonial street and turning that into a curbless street, the Woonerf, that's the Dutch term. And a lot of that is really dependent on the redevelopment of some of those properties on that block. And so we've done some initial outreach to, the owner of the former bowling alley. That's a redevelopment site that's prominent in this section of the downtown plan. So a lot of this is dependent on, the property owners and their redevelopment ideas. There is a bike and ped plan underway, and we've sent them the downtown plan consult recommendations. That's underway. Main Street alley improvements. Do we want to pedestrianize that like some of the alleys? But in the meantime, it's been improved with the asphalt layer. Wayfinding and gateway planning. There is initial budgeted just for some really small short-term signage on city fixtures. But the larger gateway, more decorative signage and more monumental planning has not taken place just yet. Alley activation, view corridor planning, that'll be part of the zoning code rewrite. And then kind of the Grand Avenue ideas about making that more like Franklin Street, both in width and materials. I do know that DPW, I think, has put that in the 10-year capital budget. And the rest, are still kind of dependent on future action and property owners. Real quick, in the interest of time, and for development sites, again, we're looking at the police and fire block. The current recommendation out of the plan is townhomes. That's what I have drafted in the RFP. And if that's the use that the mayor and the council wish to confirm, that'll speed up the RFP process. And then just talking to downtown owners of sites susceptible to change, I've been doing that off and on. And then lastly, I had said any marina actions. Those are the larger, more aspirational recommendations out of the plan. We do have one part of that, and that's underway with the Edgewater parking lot plan. So we may not see the downtown plan day to day, or you may not, but it is there. And with some of these actions and Melissa's emphasis on, getting the departments together and getting a unified strategy for further implementation, it's still percolating along. That's my report, and I do know that Gary is up next.
Any questions for Bob or clarifications? Okay. Gary, you're up.
Get the
PowerPoint machine. I have a feeling that's going to stick.
All right, so this is just a quick review of what building inspection's been up to for the last year. So number of permits issued, 2024 is the orange line there. And then we got the past, 4 years before that, 4 or 5 years. So we issued 1,096 permits last year, which was slightly about 27 more than the year before, but not up to the heydays of when everybody was renovating their house during the pandemic. So we can go to the fees collected. We collected $277,753, which was $41,000 more than the year before. And residential units, the blue is actually single-family units. The little red is two-family units. The green is multi-family units, anything 3 families or above. So last year, in 2024, we had 36 single-family houses and just 1 duplex. But that was actually the most since 2019. And there hasn't been any multifamilies for the past 3 years.
Gary, would you mind holding on that slide? This is a really important piece, and I think for the people who watch, like, there's this kind of drumbeat idea that we are, we've got lots and lots of new houses being built all of the time, but that's not a lots and lots pace of 36 a year of 3 per month going into the inventory of the city of Port Washington. So thank you for that, because I think that's pretty prolific, because you also see we're not adding much in the multifamily or condo realm at all in the last 3 years. So, and the ones that were done in 2020, 2021, those are higher end, correct?
Yeah, I mean, that big bump you see in 2020 was mostly the fiduciary by Newport Vista. They were the kind of 6-unit apartment buildings and some 4-unit apartment buildings in there as
Yeah.
well. Then there was like 23 of those buildings. And then the other part of it was this, I think the first Belinsky apartment building by Hidden Hills
Yeah.
made up for that big bump in that year.
Thank you.
So then going forward, and what we're looking forward to in 2025 is in April, BS&A, the company that did the finance software, will be coming to implement our community development module, which has building inspection and code enforcement. And that's going to replace the current system, Cassell Connect, and it'll be used to track the permits. But in addition to what Cassell Connect did, it's going to store digital copies of the permits on the cloud. We can put the drawings on there. We can put code enforcement violations and pictures on there. And people will be able to apply for permits on the website and pay for them, and we'll be able to communicate with them. They'll be able to kind of have a portal where they'll be able to look up their own permits to see what the status is for those. And we'll be able to communicate with email automatically. Once I approve something, it'll just send out an automatic email to the people knowing that their things are ready to be picked up. Obviously, we'll pay for them online as well. And we'll be getting a tablet then to take out in the field so we can update things. I mean, like in real time, as if I go to a house and approve something, I can do it on the tablet, and then it'll be available for anybody to see online. I can update information from the field, take pictures with the tablet. And then as far as writing letters to people or violation notices, there will be templates to do that, which should make it easier and quicker to get those out. And everything, hopefully then, will all be linked to the GIS system, so you can look on the map, hopefully click on an address and get able to see, I mean, the people who we want to be able to see it, all the information in there. And that's really it for building inspection.
Nice. Nice. Little semi-Far Side cartoon in there to end it with. Well done. Any questions for Gary?
Questions?
Okay, excellent. Thank you both, gentlemen. This is a big piece, and I appreciate Melissa following through on this. Once a month, we'll have a different department or group come to us and just kind of share updates on their alignment to the strategic plan, their actions, and a universal understanding by the full council of what goes on in different committees, boards, and commissions. So thank you, gentlemen, very much for that. All right, that takes us to agenda item number 6, public comments. Your comments are always welcome, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Anyone have any public comments or appearances? Any public comments or appearances? Okay. Seeing none, then we're going to move into agenda item 7A from general governance. The consideration and possible action on approval of an original Class B liquor and Class B beer license and annual cabaret license for Newport Hospitality Group, 320 North Lake Street. Chris Schmidt is the agent. The issue is, should the general government and finance or the council approve an original Class B liquor and Class B license and annual cabaret license with Chris Schmidt as the agent? The staff is recommending that this has recommended the city clerk has reviewed and approved the application and required supporting documents. All required fees have been paid and the background record check was completed and approved by Police Chief Hingis. This will be an assigned quota alcohol license. The city clerk is requesting approval of the licenses as presented. Susan.
This will license will apply to the lower level at Newport Shores, which is that large open space that is to the south of the building and faces the lake, and then as well as the upper level, which is also has a bar area with that outside patio. Because this is under one corporation, this only requires one license, and that will cover both floors, that is allowed. Should there be a change where one of the floors would be rented or leased to another company in the future, that will require a separate license, but that's not the case right now. Their plan is to continue to promote it as an event space on both levels. And you'll see the companion piece is the cabaret license, which, as you know, with most events, they either want some small musical trio or it could be karaoke, but some type of, especially with weddings, some type of music available. So it's both pieces. It's the Class B liquor license and the cabaret, the annual cabaret.
Any questions or concerns or anything from committee? Anyone willing to make a motion on the staff recommendation to approve the license?
I will move to approve.
So, second.
Motion and second. Any questions or concerns on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That brings us to consideration and possible action on the appointment of a successor agent for the alcohol retail license holder, the American Legion Post 82 at 435 Lake Street. The issue is, should the General Government and Finance Committee and Common Council approve a request from the American Legion Post 82 for the appointment of successor agent James Johnson? Staff recommends that the staff recommendation is that the city clerk has reviewed the request and recommends approval as presented. Susan.
This request specifically is because the current agent is unable to fulfill his duties going forward. So they had to pivot to find a successor agent to continue through the licensing year. Renewal period does come in May and June, so this all licenses are reviewed at that point. Sometimes agents change on the annual renewal. But at this time, James Johnson will be going forward for the remainder of this licensing period specifically. For the American Legion Post. So he previously had a background check fairly recently for a bartender license, which he had applied for. So that background check was very current. So that would cover this licenses as well.
So there was nothing found in James Johnson's
Nothing,
background?
and Police Chief Hingus
that's-
approved it. If anything has changed, I'll defer to.
Yeah, I mean, it's slightly disappointing we couldn't find
with
anything.
hesitation.
Let's table this and bring this back and find something. All right, that's all sarcasm. All right, any other questions or concerns for Susan on that recommendation? Otherwise, I'd be looking for a motion to approve James Johnson as the successor agent for the Legion.
Move to approve.
There's a motion by Alderman Benning. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Gasper. Any questions and concerns on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item 7A3, consideration and possible action on approval of Fourth Amendment to the Thomas Drive Water Tower lease agreement with AT&T. The issue is, should the city approve Fourth Amendment to the Thomas Drive Water Tower lease agreement with AT&T? And the staff recommends the approval of Fourth Amendment to the Thomas Drive Water Tower lease. And there's a recommended motion, but I'm going to turn it over to Roger.
Yep. Those of you with a good memory may recall that we discussed this back in May last year, I believe. And we approved the lease, but then after we approved it, the AT&T said, yeah, you know what? We need more space for our generator. So then we said we would like more lease payment. And so 8 months later, here's where we're at. And so we do recommend that we grant our lease.
Okay. Any questions or concerns on the agreement? Is there anyone willing to make a motion to approve the Fourth Amendment to the, I don't know why that's not the Fourth Amendment, but of Fourth Amendment to the Thomas Drive Water Tower? The social studies teacher in me wants to talk about, rights to bear arms and things, but is there anyone willing to make that motion?
I'll move to approve.
Is there a second? So a motion by Alderman Person Postle, second by Alderman Benning. Any questions or concerns on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. The next agenda item, 7A4, is consideration of possible action on the approval of second amendment to memorandum of the lease with AT&T at the Thomas Drive Water Tower. Same deal, same recommendations. Roger?
Yeah, so same thing as, the numbers are different. The only reason I have for that is they did not record the first lease and amendment. That's the purpose of the memorandum is they can record the lease with that memorandum. Maybe Matt can go into more detail than that, but so essentially what we're proving here is they'll take the lease agreement and record it.
Okay. Any questions? It's been reviewed. Is there someone willing to make a motion to approve? Alderman Benning made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Alderwoman Postle made the second. Any questions or concerns on the motion for the approval of second amendment? All right, seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That brings us to 8A1, public hearing to consider a request by Schaefer Development to rezone approximately 39 acres of land located on the south side of West Grand Avenue, east of Jackson Road and west of Laura Lane. Notice was hereby given of this public hearing that will be held tonight. Notice is further given that the subject of the hearing is to consider a request by Schaefer Development to rezone approximately 39 acres of land located on the south side of West Grand Avenue, east of Jackson Road and west of Laura Lane from PUL public and utility lands, RS3 single-family detached residence, and B2 local service center business with an OAG arterial gateway overlay plan development to RM3 multiple family low-rise apartments, RM2 multiple family garden apartments and townhouses, and RS5 single and two-family residence with an OPD overlay plan development for the purpose to develop a residential subdivision. A map of the area to be zoned is available at the Office of Planning and Development at City Hall, and I'm calling this hearing to order. Are there any speakers for the rezoning? Any speakers in favor or for? Any speakers against? Any speakers against? Seeing none, I'm going to close this hearing. That brings us into subject and consideration and possible action on ordinance 2025-03 on a zoning map amendment to rezone approximately 39 acres of land located on the south side of West Grand Avenue, east of Jackson Road and west of Laura Lane from PUL public and utility lands to RS3-3 single-family detached residence and B2 local service center businesses with an OAG arterial gateway overlay plan development to RM3 multiple family low-rise apartments, RM2 multiple family garden apartments and townhouses, and RS5 single and two-family residences with OPD overlay plan development for Schaefer Development. This is the applicant, and this is the first reading. The issue is the Common Council is being asked to review a petition to rezone the subject property for the purpose of developing the proposed farm residential development consisting of multifamily, townhome, and single-family resident uses. Note, this petition was originally reviewed by the Plan Commission at its December 19th, 2025 meeting. There is no recommendation as this is a first reading. Mr. Harris, do you have additional background?
I noted that in my in the question of my staff report. This is the rescheduled hearing that is attached to the Plan Commission's recommendation to the council on the rezoning request for the Shannon Farm. That was back at the Plan Commission's December meeting. The Plan Commission is forwarding from that meeting a recommendation to deny the plat, and we will have the second reading on March 4th.
Any questions, concerns, or input for Mr. Harris? Yes.
Just a
Leitner.
quick procedural piece for the residents listening at home. The Plan Commission denied this request back in December. It's now February. What's going to the Plan Commission tomorrow evening?
Since that denial, the developer submitted an amended preliminary plat, and that will be taken up by Plan Commission tomorrow.
So even though this is a first reading this evening, no action will be taken.
Correct.
Because there will be a change to the plat tomorrow evening. So then we would come back here, assuming approval or denial then?
Correct. That is correct.
And so the second reading for this ordinance tonight would be dependent on tomorrow night's discussion or not, Bob?
It'll be affected by tomorrow night's discussion.
Other questions? Again, it's the first reading, so there's no action tonight. If there's any input or ideas, please make sure to share those with Mr. Harris so we can make adjustments before the next reading. Okay, with that, we have no unfinished business. We have no new business. Are there any public comments or appearances? Any public comments or appearances? Okay, seeing none, I'm looking then to make a motion, to have a motion made to convene in a closed session per Wisconsin State Statutes 19.851(1)(e) for the purpose of deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, to wit, to discuss and formulate negotiating strategies, including, without limitation, the terms and conditions for sale and development of approximately 39-acre parcel of city-owned vacant land known as the former Shannon Farm, located along the south side of State Highway 33, approximately 1/4 mile of County Highway LL, tax parcel number 16-030-15-002.00. Is there someone willing to make such a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderwoman Possible, second by Alderman Newmeyer. Caught myself there. This is a voice vote. Ward 1, Ward 2, Ward 3, Ward 4, Ward 5, Ward 6, Ward 7, Ward 8. All right. We are in closed session. Please convene downstairs ASAP. Let's try to get started by quarter after. Thank you, everyone.